This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Gohei hits a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to A's Cast Live. God, it feels like forever since we were on air with you here on A's Cast Live. It is great to be back. For everybody listening, athletics.com/A's Cast. For everybody watching on Twitter and YouTube, we get it rolling once again as the Athletics take the day off. Back in action down at the Big 8 tonight. Should be a lot of fun. Teams are looking a little different, but always good taking on the Angels. And we now have a new representative on the desk, the actual rally monkey. Commander, where did you get – this is how stupid these people are in Southern California. This is a rally monkey. Now, they have a lot of different versions of the rally monkey, and the only reason why I know this is the last time I was down there, when I was allowed to travel, 2019, this woman who, season ticket holder, sits right behind, just a little bit to the right of home plate, is in the front row of the second part of the seat. So you have the seats in that first part of the stadium, like every stadium, go from home plate up, then you have a walkway, then you have the next level. And she was right there on the railing, and she literally had like 30 rally monkeys because, you know, they all have the hands have the Velcro. So she had like 30 rally monkeys. That's the only reason why I know there's a lot of different rally monkeys. This, though, was definitely a giveaway because there's a sponsor on the back. This is an official rally monkey. So now on our desk, because really, even though we hate these teams, the people that work for them are friends. We've got our Nolan Ryan bobblehead to represent the great Nolan Ryan. By the way, we have a note that was brought up on Twitter about Nolan Ryan that makes him the freak of like all freaks. Really, in any sport, it's amazing. We've got the snow globe, Safeco Field snow globe, which is really cool because it's a snow globe, right? But yet the roof moves back and forth on the snow globe. This is actually a really good one. And then we have a rally monkey. We are just missing something from the Houston Astros.
Well, I got the rally monkey, as I mentioned before. My wife is an Angels fan, except for when they're bad. So every year she's a Dodgers fan after the Angels stink, which as of right now, they stink. So that's where I got the rally monkey from. It was either bring that or bring the Ohtani 1 Kenobi bobblehead that they got for me this year, being a Star Wars fan and Obi-Wan Kenobi theme.
No, this is much better because this is a true old school, because this was from years ago.
Yeah, you could tell it is.
The rally monkey has evolved dramatically from custom logos. This was actually a rally monkey made in San Diego. And that's kind of appropriate how we start the show out today.
Well, I was going to say quickly, now we have a friend with the Astros as a player besides Ryan Stanek. Maybe Trey Mancini could give us something.
The great Trey Mancini, which Will Smith and Trey Mancini going to the Astros. I've got a list of bravo that I say to these teams and shame on you. I've made a list. We all know that Frankie Montas got moved, and coming up here at 4:30, Adam Marco, the voice of the AAA team for the New York Yankees, had two of the guys in the trade in their rotation. So we will break down this trade, Frankie Montas going to the Yankees. That's the big thing. And also Our old friend Lou Trevino. I got to text Lou. Lou was always really good to us here on A's Cast Live. Ken Waldachuk will be coming in. He is now officially our third-ranked prospect. Whenever they do, it's the dumbest thing in the world. But the big left-hander from San Diego pitched at St. Mary's. He was pitching in AAA. We already saw J.P. Sears, the other left-hander in this deal, earlier this year against the A's. So
June 28th.
We'll find out from the play-by-play guy of the AAA team. He's been watching them. What are we getting? Luis Medina coming in as a hard-throwing right-hander in Double-A. We'll also hear from David Force, what he has to say about these guys. And then Cooper Bowman, second baseman. I don't know if I will get into our friend Keith Law from The Athletic, who I've done a lot of shows with. Former executive turned media guy. Does not love the trade for the A's, but we'll see what this is going to look like for the Athletics when we talk to the guy who's seen. Really, the two guys are going to help us right away, and that's Adam Marco, who does play-by-play for the AAA Yankees, and we're going to have Melissa Lockard, who does a great job covering the A's from a standpoint of the minor league system and really all of minor league baseball for the Athletics. She'll be here at 5 o'clock. How does she view it? What's she hearing? What surprised her didn't happen? I'm surprised. I thought a lot of deals would happen with the A's, and it was Frankie Montas and will you take Lou Trevino? I love this deal for Lou Trevino. A reset for him. He's got a terrific arm. He's a terrific guy. Gets in his own head. All of his problems are cerebral. They're all like all of us. If you play sports long enough and you play at a competitive level, you're going to have issues that have nothing to do with physical. You're going to have issues mentally where you struggle and you fight yourself and you don't trust yourself. And sometimes you need a different place, different scenario. Lou's an East Coast guy going back to the East Coast. I don't know. Will Lou start right in the Yankees bullpen?
I would think so. They showed a video of him there, clean shaven, no beard anymore.
Good.
I fear, and I mentioned this to you and a lot of people.
He can't be sent down anyway.
No, I feel that because he's making like $3 million this year. So
he had $3 million. Obviously, he's not making that, but I don't think he doesn't have options anymore.
I feel like he could be the next maybe Clay Holmes for the Yankees. Remember how Clay Holmes was a bad Pirates pitcher? They brought him in. They made him effective in the late innings, and now he's the closer of the Yankees. I'm not saying Lou's going to be the closer of the Yankees, but they can get him right. That's a deadly weapon for the Yankees coming out of their bullpen, and they are the best team in the not American League, Major League Baseball right now.
It's a huge if, but Lou's good people, and like all these guys we have lost, we're going to root for him. And I'm going to be really happy I'll feel really happy this October if I see Lou Trevino out in pinstripes, throwing the baseball in the postseason and doing well. I mean, the relationship you developed with him, the relationship I developed with him, we remember when he first got called here. I mean, Lou was great to us. Lou is a super guy. Just got married recently. Like his life was going so good, closer. And then this year just got COVID and just didn't really rebound. And it's been a brutal year. And I can't wait for the postgame show tonight. How many people, I can't believe he's still pitching. Townie, why is he still pitching? Well, there's a reason. They want to move him. But his ERA is over 6. Doesn't matter. Someone will take him. Someone took Joey Gallo, and it was the Dodgers, for God's sakes. If they still believe you have talent, you'll have a place in this league. But I wanted to start with this. The San Diego Padres today won the trading deadline in a huge way. And whether Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Josh Hader help Bob Melvin and the Padres in the postseason, they still right now, if it ended today, would be in a wild card series on the road. They wouldn't be at home. They'd be on the road. A 3-game set on the road, which if it ended right now would be Atlanta. So, but with the and what I'm going to say here, I have to throw us, the Oakland Athletics, in it, or I'd be a hypocrite. So I'm including what I'm about to say. I include the Oakland Athletics in this. We are a part of it. Do I love it? No, but I have to, because I have to be honest and I have to be real to you. The San Diego Padres right now are making everybody in baseball look bad. They really are. Kind of exposing everybody. That includes us. I have to say it. I can't go, see Pittsburgh, see Kansas City, without saying see Oakland. San Diego is one of the smaller markets in Major League Baseball. They are. They're not New York. They're not LA. Not East Coast. Not Boston, Philly, not Chicago. They're just not. I mean, Houston right now, I think, is the 4th largest city in the country. And there's a lot of places that have way bigger television contracts, have way more money. You know, you look at, there's a bunch of teams that have way more money, that make more money. What did the Padres do? They went all in. But why did they go all in? Why did the Padres go all in? Now, that the average baseball fan, and I love all of you, and I know if I had asked Cody that, Cody would have said, because they want to win. They want to win. Don't you want to win? It's about winning the World Series. That's what everybody would say. That's why they went in. No. That's a part of it. But that's not why they did it. Let me tell you why they did it. Because they can. Because the money's there. Do you think the San Diego Padres signed Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr. to contracts? Manny's is $300 million. Nando's is 300 and I don't know.
340, I believe, somewhere in that range.
25.
I think it's 340.
Do you think they went out and signed those Hosmer to $145 million? Something that, do you think they, now Hosmer's gone in Boston, but do you think they went out and signed all that and guaranteed all of that? They just traded away about $21.5 million worth of signing bonuses to prospects. That's not money you recoup. AJ Preller, who runs the Padres, who's been stacking all these kids with millions of dollars in signing bonuses, just traded all of that millions of dollars. And now is taking in a ton of money and potentially huge money in the future because they have the money. They're not taking that money in because they're going to lose. You think the Padres are doing all this and because they're going to lose money? That's where they're exposing everybody else. Sorry, telling the truth today on trading deadline. It's truth day to go along with the trading deadline. Everybody in baseball is making a grip of money, right? They're all making huge money. Just the Padres are willing to spend it. With all the money coming in from Apple TV, with all the money coming in from Peacock, all the money coming in from the merch, all the money coming in from everybody who can watch games from around the world, baseball is cash rich right now. It's cash rich. And attendance is not the big deal anymore. They're making money. It's just most of these teams don't want to spend it. That's why payrolls have been going down. Even with the COVID year, they're still making tons of money. The Padres are, you think the Padres are going broke? You think the Padres are just riverboat gamblers and we're going to put all of our money in the middle of the table, and if we lose this hand, we're broke? Nope. They're doing all this because they got it. Cody, if I would have said before the show and you just heard that answer and I asked you, why do you think the Padres are doing all this?
Well, I told you. You already said it. I said they want to win.
They want to win.
But
they want to win.
The crazy thing too about
No, they have. Yeah, they want to win. They have the money. They're not taking risk. This isn't that. You know, you may watch MLB Network and they may say there's a lot of risk here. This isn't risk. This isn't risk at all. They have the money. That's why when I get to my shame on you list, there's these teams that have huge money and they're not spending it. And shame on you. I'll get to that list. But I got to start the show. I want to do two things that I love and two things that I hate about Juan Soto. Not him personally. All right. But
wow, shots fired.
The two things that I love and the two things that I hate. All right. Here's what I love about the deal for Juan Soto. And this is for any team that would have got him. His talent is so amazing at his age. The numbers are truly amazing at 23 years old. I mean, you look at this kid, he's got everything. He mashes. He does not swing at pitches out of the strike zone. He's got discipline at his age. It is truly unbelievable. All right? Look at him. He's good looking. He's got a beautiful smile. You see how good looking this kid is? He's got everything. Remember in Moneyball, we're not selling jeans here? Well, we're selling jeans, but these jeans work as a baseball player. He's got everything, right? He's a star. He's got, and now as a Latino ball player in Southern California, you know how big this could play in Southern California? This would have worked for whether it's the Padres, the Angels, or the Dodgers, right? We had Dave Stewart on last Friday talking about Fernando Mania. What you can capitalize on with a Spanish-speaking baseball player in Southern California who's good looking and he's got some of the greatest talent you've ever seen, love the deal. Absolutely love the deal. Number two, why I love the deal. You're buying all of his good years. 10 years, 12 years, whatever it is you want to work out with him. You're buying 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, you name it. It's amazing. You could buy him till he's, I'm cool with you buying a guy till he's 34, 35. You're still going to get good years. But then the deal's up. So I know I'm going to get to where, and this goes on what I hate about the deal. But from a standpoint of what I love, super talent, superstar kid, I can market him like you wouldn't believe in Southern California. Like if I had him in Kansas City, if I had him in Seattle, San Diego, I can market the you-know-what out of him in San Diego. Perfect. Great looking smile, all-world talent, boom. Now, sign him, whatever the money is, but I'm buying all prime years. I'm not buying Miguel Cabrera. I'm not buying Albert Pujols years. I'm buying nothing but the best years of his career. Love that. What do I hate? Obviously, the money. Because if you're telling me, but Townie, and this is where I differ a lot with people on MLB Network because they're not very good. Unless it's one of the ex-GMs, they're not very good at the business side of baseball or the marketing side. They look at baseball players. They're basically just looking Baseball Reference. Here's the problem with the whole idea of, I get them for 3 stretch drives, right? I get them for 3 pennant chases. I get them for 3 World Series. Folks, if you think you trade this guy and the town falls in love with him, that you're now going to flip him, you know how hard that's going to be? You gave up all that capital. It's one thing if the A's got him, and then we all knew this coming in. We're flipping this guy. That's not what this is going to be. You're going to bring him in. Everybody's going to fall in love with him. And then you're going to dump him when everybody's in love with him. It's like, you know what? I found a woman who I love. She's perfect. And I'm going to bring her to meet my parents. I'm going to bring her to meet my family. But I know in my mind 2 years from now, I'm dumping her. I'm moving on. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. So this is what I'm going to hate. If you're not going to sign him, I hate this deal. It'll be brutal because you're going to bring him in and you even tried that they'll fall in love with him. Like I just said, look at this kid. He's super marketable in Southern California. Fans are going to love him. He's a monster. He's going to hit. They're going to be like, this is the greatest guy we've ever had. He's going to push Fernando Tatis to the curb. You're going to be looking at how do we move Fernando Tatis and get this drama queen who's always hurt, get him the hell out of here, and let's pay this guy. He's your next Tony Gwynn. And you're just going to move him in his prime? Going to be tough to do. So I don't like it from that aspect. I think that will cause a lot of – that will be – you're going to try to tell me that's not going to be drama?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you're right. City falls in love with him. Preller's in a really bad and tough spot.
I mean, you know who he kind of remind you know what it kind of reminds me of? Who he reminds me of with that smile and who he could be in San Diego is like Junior Seau. Like
that's a good comp.
Everybody loved Seau didn't get dealt to 17 years in the league, but once a town like that falls in love, remember, Padres have no competition anymore. There's no NBA, there's no NFL, there's no NHL. I mean, they're falling in love with this team all over again. And you fall in love with this guy, you're not going to be able to move him. Number two, what I don't like, and this is years from now, and this is first world problems, is, okay, you've now had him for 12 years. You had him through his prime. You love him. Me as a business guy say, now I want to dump him. Now he's heading to his late 30s. But the problem is you won't be able to. Why? Because once again, you fell in love with him. Because now it's going to be, well, he's going to have 3,000 hits. Oh, he's going to have 500 home runs or 600 home runs. And this is now where you get into Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera. You could ditch him at like 34. You could say, bought his prime years, had everything, but you're now going to say, he's a statue guy. Smart business would be dump him now, let him go. You had his prime years, let him go somewhere else because he's not on PEDs. He's going to fade. But no, he's going to want another big contract at 34 years old. And you're going to get suckered into giving it to him, and it's going to be like Miguel Cabrera. We're going to applaud. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, what a great career he's had, but he's got no power and he can't run. Put it this way. I hate to say it, and this metric to me means nothing really, but they're already showing he's not very fast at 23 years old. This is not a speedster. He doesn't run well at 23. What do you think he's going to be like at 36, 37, and 38? So, two things I love. Simple. Talent, all world, great smile, Southern California. I'll market the hell out of him. Big win. Biggest thing out of anything is you're buying his prime years. You're not buying a bad year. Are you going to call 34 a bad year? I mean, maybe the worst year, because he doesn't want to sign like a 15-year deal. He wants to get 2 contracts from what I'm gathering. Could be wrong. Scott Boras hasn't called me. But it sounds like he wants 2 contracts. So this contract will be 10 to 12, and then he's so young, there'll be that old man contract. So this contract, the first one, you'll be buying all prime years.
I don't think 34 is a bad year at all.
All right, so we agree on that. 2 things I hate. Everybody's going to fall in love with him. You're not going to be able to flip them in 2 years because they'll be in love. You're going to be selling all the – that's what I'm saying. You think they fell in love with Tatis Jr.? Wait till they get a load of this guy. Every day. You're going to have Soto jerseys everywhere. There's going to be a car dealership. There's going to be a bank. who knows what he's going to be able to capitalize on being there. He is going to be the star of stars there. You're coming at the Dodgers now. Can you imagine if he's the reason you're now taking on the Dodgers and the Padres knock the Dodgers off their pedestal? You're then going to move him? You brought him in to meet your parents. It's like you put a ring on his finger. You got engaged and you're not going to flip him and take that ring back after 2 years? Drama. Don't see it happening. That's the one thing I hate about the deal. If they're going in big, bad, and bold, going, we got him for 3 pennant races, then we'll flip him or we'll let him walk. That will be one messy breakup. And then fact 2 that I hate is that you're going to be so linked to that second contract. I think they're going to have to sign him long term. I think you have to give him that record contract. At that point, you're probably going to have to somehow ditch Machado or Fernando Tatis Jr., which we find out. You'll find a market. Tatis and Machado are still young. You'll find a market of where to move one of those guys. In the end, you're going to have to move one of those guys, sign this guy, sign him up to whatever this record deal is. So part of this move I love, part of this move I hate. But if in baseball terms, you throw on Bell, who's having a terrific year, and what do the Padres need? Padres are 17th. I can tell you right now. Padres are 17th in runs. Padres are 17th in runs per game, 25th in slug. Bell gives you both. And you pick up Hader to come out of that bullpen for Bob Melvin. So you picked up a closer, a first baseman who swings it, who's actually hitting 300. What? A guy's hitting 300?
Yeah, they might have acquired the 2 best hitters on the market in the same deal.
And you get a guy who's potentially going to be an all-time great?
Yeah,
Huge.
I mean, you already got Soto, who people are comparing to Ted Williams, and Ted Williams from San Diego. I mean, people are probably going to be excited about Juan Soto. And then you get Hader also, who might be the best closer of his generation. And he had the record time to getting to 500 strikeouts, which is a big deal. I know he struggled the past month, and some people don't believe in him anymore. He's still so young. I think he's 28. He's got plenty of time. He's going to do well in San Diego. The Padres are going to be set up for years to come. And I think Machado's the guy they probably try to flip.
I love what Houston did, getting Trey Mancini and Will Smith. They had no lefty. When the Astros are here, remember we were talking about them needing to get a lefty. They got their lefty. And then I think the Yankees. The Yankees got rid of Joey Gallo. The Yankees picked up Benintendi. They needed a contact guy. They needed somebody who wasn't all or nothing. So now you got him, and at least got him and LeMahieu. Glaber's having a better year. And then, of course, you get Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas is big. That's a big move for them. So I love what San Diego did. I love what Houston did, and I love what New York did.
They also got Harrison Bader for Jordan Montgomery.
Bader is a fantastic defensive player, smart guy. However, they're going to work that out. Obviously, Giancarlo has the tendonitis in his Achilles, so could he be the Achilles heel of the team?
Well done. But by the way, the Padres also got Brandon Drury from the Reds, so he can play anywhere in the infield. And apparently they traded for another catcher after the deadline, and Cam Gallagher. So A.J. Preller, really busy the last 2 days.
Very bad. Hosmer's now gone. They shipped him off to because Hosmer did not waive the no trade. So they had to, the deal was done no matter what. So they had to get creative, and they ended up shipping Hosmer to Boston. They're going to have to pay some money for that, but for whatever.
Luke Voigt to the Nationals was the other player in the deal.
My shame on you. My shame on you. Let's start with the San Francisco Giants. Let's hear from all the Giants apologists in our area. Where are you at, Giants apologist? Huh? You act like a big market. You make money like a big market team. You're just playing Moneyball. You loved Moneyball last year, remember? Oh, my God, no one uses their lineup better. No one uses their roster better. Farhan's a genius. Kapler uses all 25 guys. He's amazing. Not so much this year. Money. People aren't loving Moneyball right now. What'd San Francisco do? Come on. Where are you? You're a big player? Would you say the San Francisco Giants are big players after watching this? With all that money and their ballpark's the best ballpark? That's what you got? Red Sox? Red Sox fans are happy that Eric Hosmer, Padres are picking up a lot of his salary. What? You're the Red Sox. Start acting like it. You're happy. You're behind Bloom is running you like the Rays. Now, you're the Red Sox, the highest tickets in all of Major League Baseball. No one charges humans more to go to games than the Boston Red Sox, and you're happy to be run like the Rays? You're happy, hey, we're not having to pay. Like, I can't believe Red Sox fans are actually saying, like, they're like, hey, look, we don't even have to pay a lot of his salary. What the hell are you talking about, man? You're the Boston Red Sox. You should be spending. Where's Big Papi? Where's Manny Ramirez? Where's Pedro Martinez? You should be buy, win, win, win. You've lost Mookie Betts. You don't even know what you're going to have with Bogarts. And you're happy to get Eric Hosmer, and you're not paying his salary? Boy, have you guys dropped. By the way, there's 0-11-1 in series against American League East teams. 0-11-1 in series.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. The Boston Red Sox, you're officially the Tampa Bay Sox. That's what you are. Playing Moneyball. No, you're going to beat the Yankees and the Blue Jays? Hell, you can't even beat the Rays, and that's who you've become, and you can't beat them.
Or the Orioles.
My other one, the Chicago White Sox. Shame on you, White Sox. Who are you? You were supposed to blow everybody away. Everybody away in the Central. Foregone conclusion, we're the White Sox, Tony La Russa, all this talent. Whether you had injuries or not, everybody has injuries. I got a whole list here of guys that are coming back from injuries that we're going to get into. What'd you do? You've done nothing. You've done nothing but be a dysfunctional 500 team. And you're running out of time. Twins got better. What are you doing? And where was I? You know what? It was this weekend while I was doing the TV with Dave Stewart off the air. Glenn, during A's pregame live, we do that hit with the guys at the broadcast. And Glenn and Jerry Blevins. And Glenn told us, this was off the air. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not saying anything that he just said, wow, there's a lot of bad mojo around here. So we'll talk to Glenn when he gets back from the road trip. But it's bad news down on where do they play?
South side?
South side of Chicago is very dysfunctional right now. And they did at the break. At the deadline.
Not only that, Tony La Russa, they caught falling asleep, looked like in the dugout. First inning yesterday.
Yeah.
The first inning of a game.
I don't blame him. I'd want to go to sleep too if I had to watch that crap. So bravo to the Padres. Bravo to the Astros. Bravo to the Yankees. Shame on you, San Francisco Giants. What are you? We're going to sign guys to one-year deals, and we're just going to platoon and play the splits. Okay. How much does it cost to go to games? How much does it cost for a beer? How much does it cost for a cha-cha bowl? I don't know, Giant fans. Once again, Moneyball's great when it works. We've lived it. Other teams have lived it. But when it doesn't work, when all the different platoons don't work and the certain relievers don't work and you don't have the health, it just... And what's entertaining about going to watch a team that doesn't have a star player? Right? Buster Posey's gone. His money's off the books. There's no Bonds. I'm a Giants fan. I want to see a guy like Barry Bonds, right? Isn't that what you're used to? You just had, I'm Will Clark and I'm the thrill. Where's your star? I'm a Giants fan. I got to see stars. That's what you guys always tell us.
They're the kings of finishing second in every sweepstakes. Bryce Harper, Giancarlo Stanton. Hell, we'll probably find out later today they finished second in the Juan Soto trade rumors.
I'm Will the Thrill Clark, and I'm Giant forever. Yeah. All right. He was a really good player. But Giant fans are always telling me, I'm a Giant fan. We got stars. We're big market. All right. You're not acting like it. Boston, you're acting like the Rays. Boston's basically become the Rays. Rays. No, they're not going to spend the money, but the Rays act more bold than the Red Sox do.
And the Red Sox might lose Xander Bogaerts after the year because he can, wait for it, opt out of his contract just like Carlos Rodon can.
People are leaving the Boston Red Sox because of money. Are you kidding me? They have one of the largest TV contracts. They have the highest ticket prices. They're the Boston Red Sox. And Mookie Betts said, I'm out of here. Xander Bogaerts would say, I'm out of here. What? What is going on? Do you want to add quickly, Bravo, before we have to start talking about the not before we have to, but we will. We're going to address the prospects the A's got. You got a Bravo or a shame on you?
Bravo, I'm not even going to do a trade. Well, they did make some trades. I love what Atlanta did. Signing Austin Riley to a 10-year deal, $212 million. They lock up him. They have Albies. They have Acuna. They have Matt Olson all locked up. They go out and get Raisel Iglesias from the Angels today. They got
that might not be a great thing.
They got Jake Odorizzi to come be a starter for them in the flip with the Astros. I like what they did.
Shame on you.
I'm sorry, you didn't bring it up. You said they're a different category. I'm going to bring up what Baltimore. What are you doing?
But Baltimore's in the what the F category.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Major League Baseball. If I'm the commissioner, and by the way, I dug this up today. My wife always says to me, why do you keep all the papers? You know, Cody prints all those papers. Why? Cody's killing trees. Why do you keep all that? Why? Why do I keep it?
To go back to it later when it comes true?
Because sometimes Cody prints stuff that we need to hold on to. From The Athletic, Ken Rosenthal. MLB's expanding playoffs, not yet boosting competition and the risk of trading with the Guardians. Now, forget the Guardians thing. Ken Rosenthal wrote that. Oh, I forget. When was this? June?
Yeah, I should have had the date on there.
June. Major League Baseball expanded its playoffs for more teams to get involved. And with the gutless Giants and other teams like that, National League really doesn't have much of competition. There's teams like Red Sox. We added postseason for teams to be more aggressive, to be more in this thing. Shame on the Baltimore Orioles. I didn't ask you. You didn't ask. We didn't ask for you to go out and add. You're on a great run. People are showing up to the ballpark again. It's a great baseball city. People want to love you again. And what did you do? You sold players. And if the Orioles go out next year and stink, Mike Elias should be fired. And I don't like for calling for people's jobs, but here you had an opportunity. Did you have to trade these guys? Did you have to trade your closer to Minnesota? Did you have to trade your bat to Houston? No, you didn't. You've been living off telling us you got a ton of prospects coming. But you're in it. You're actually in it.
2.5 games out of a wild card.
You're in it. You wave the white flag. We don't want to be in it. So all these teams that did make moves, and yes, the Orioles, you basically just crapped on Major League Baseball. As they threw everybody a lifeline. Here's more playoffs for people to get in. And a bunch of people went, we'd rather not try. It's the problem with the game. It really, today's not the day, maybe tomorrow. I've thought a lot about this on who's to blame. And I think you could blame owners. It's their game, no question. But I really think a lot can be blamed on the players on this and the players' union. Save that as a tease for tomorrow. All right, coming up next, we are going to talk to Yankees AAA play-by-play man We'll find out exactly who are these guys the A's got for Frankie and Lou next, right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity Internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And RingCentral's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. RingCentral. Message, video, phone, together.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
The A's are back, and you won't want to miss this epic matchup. The A's host the Giants in the Bay Bridge Series, presented by Gilead Sciences at the Coliseum August 6th and 7th.
3-2 runner goes, swing and a miss, and down goes Estrada and the Giants in the 7th.
Catch some summer vibes and get your tickets to see the Athletics take on the Giants at the Coliseum. Pack your sunscreen and shades and bring your friends or family out to the ballpark for the Bay Bridge Series. Tickets are selling quickly. Get your tickets today at athletics.com/tickets.
When Northern California businesses need some pop in their lineup, they call the bank rooted in the East Bay. Mechanics Bank. Since 1905, Mechanics Bank has been helping Bay Area and Northern California businesses find success and perform at the top of their game. See how they can make a difference in your business today. Call or stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, I don't have my playbook in front of me because my computer is restarting. Can't remember his name.
It's Adam Marco, the voice of the Scranton Wilkes-Barre RailRiders, also member of the PSAC conference, I found out yesterday. So Lou Trevino out, we bring another one in. But yeah, that's Adam Marco is the voice of the AAA team of the New York Yankees.
So earlier today, because obviously he's on the East Coast, he had a game. Very, very kind with his time to talk to us about the prospects that the A's got for Frankie and Lou. Here is the voice of the AAA Yankees. So much for taking the time to stop by A's Cast Live today. We're trying to figure out Who are these guys that we got for Frankie Montas and for Lou Trevino? How are you?
I'm doing well, getting ready for a RailRiders game myself, and excited to see this trade deadline come and go.
Yeah, you knew the Yankees were going to be players. We started to hear, obviously Billy Beane and Brian Cashman are the two longest tenured executives in Major League Baseball. They've been very good friends for many, many years. So it wasn't shocking when we heard, because the A's and Yankees have been doing deals for years. But when you heard Frankie Montas, we can actually give you the scouting report too on Lou Trevino. But how'd you feel about that for the Yankees?
So knowing where New York wants to go, what they want to do, and I thought they would have been in on him prior to the season anyway. A couple of guys that they've been kind of kicking the tires on, I feel, for a long time. So it doesn't surprise me. I think the addition of Trevino is a interesting wrinkle to this deal. For me, it's the Yankees giving up 2/5 of my rotation here in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. It was a tough deal to swallow, but I understand why. I want to see the Yankees win, but I want to see the RailRiders win. I'm a little biased on my own team.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting a couple of really premium prospects from this organization. Sears doesn't quite have the prospect label, but he has been so sneaky good this year with just phenomenal control. So I'm excited for them to get the opportunity. Waldichuk is a California guy, San Diego, but a California guy to begin with. I think it's a really intriguing deal for New York. It gives them that second arm, and with their rotation, with Garrett Cole, who do you follow with? Can they stay healthy? What are you going to get out of Nestor Cortez? When do the innings hit? So I think any deal they were going to make for pitching made sense. I don't like giving up anybody at any point, but that's just me. I get why they did it, and I think it's a really good deal. I think it could be a good deal for both sides.
All right, which guy do you want to go over first from your team that we've got?
So JP Sears is a guy that has been up with New York a couple of times this year. He was with them out of spring training. He's a 3-pitch guy, but his control is phenomenal. I don't know if he's necessarily going to blow you away, but he puts it wherever he needs to. He's a high strikeout, low walk guy, and has been thoroughly impressive in the spurts we've seen him in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre this year.
Well, we've actually seen him this year, but it wasn't anything dynamic that you remember back against the Oakland Athletics. But at the big league level, established career, where do you view him on a staff?
I think he is at least a 3 or a 4. Maybe you get him a 5, but he could be thoroughly effective out of the bullpen. He didn't really get enough time, I think, to shine in New York this year. They put him on just that yo-yo track back and forth between the Bronx and Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and that's tough on every one of these guys. But when he was up there, save a couple of outings, he was outstanding. It was difficult to hit. He was putting guys away. So I think you're getting at least a 3 or a 4 right there, if not a decent left-hander long arm out of the bullpen.
Well, what you're getting is versatility, and a team like the A's, where we are now and where the game is going. My God, with the average starting pitchers this year only throwing 84 pitches a game, the death of the starting pitcher. If you're somebody that can be, let's say, a 3, a 4, very valuable, and you're good coming out of the bullpen, you can eat innings out of the bullpen. That's a valuable piece and a very versatile guy, and everybody's looking for that, so that's good. As you mentioned, Waldichuk out of San Diego came up here, pitched at St. Mary's. We're looking more at a high-velocity guy, right, with stuff?
He's a 4-pitch guy. His fastball, 96, maybe 97. We saw him in the Futures game, barely. A couple of weeks back, he threw 3 pitches, 96, 95, 96. The control is still a work in progress, I think, because he's throwing 95, 96 from the left side, but he can be very good when he is on. He works all around the zone. You're looking at a 1-2 right there with Ken Waldichuk. I really do think you are. He has been impressive at each level, limited time since the Yankees drafted him, but he's been impressive at each level. He might be a little bit further away than JP Sears. Like Sears could go up and help a team tomorrow. Waldichuk might be a 2023 kind of guy, but I think fans will really like what you're going to get out of both of those lefties.
Well, that's what I like to hear, and I think that's what A's fans want to hear, because everything we've talked about, this is the year of discovery for the A's. You know, we just had that run, went to the playoffs 3 straight years, and then last year came up short, won 86 games, but this obviously is a pivot season. So what we're trying to find out right now is who can help, but really who can help for the future. And what you're telling me is I got 2 guys that could be in the rotation, one in Wolochuk, who could be one of our better guys, a versatile guy in Sears, but you're giving me 2 guys that could be pitching at the big league level next year.
It wouldn't shock me, and I don't know the A's through and through. It wouldn't shock me if you saw Ken Wolochuk in the big leagues later this year, quite honestly. Threatening for a big league rotation spot next year wouldn't shock me whatsoever. You got a couple other guys in that deal in Luis Medina, who we haven't seen yet. He's for me, he was that next guy up from AA. If we were going to lose an arm this week, I expected Medina to be one of the guys we would see. So I think you've got a couple of high-end prospects. Admittedly, don't know much about the 4th guy in this deal, but I think it's a pretty decent haul considering what the Yankees gave up from their minor league system the last couple of weeks in the Benintendi deal. Now this deal, it's a lot. And I hope for New York's sake it works out, and I hope for these players, because each of the guys we've talked about, they have been phenomenal to work with. They've been easy to talk to. They've handled the media well. Not that, AAA media is difficult, but I think they're guys that can excel no matter where you put them.
Well, that is a big thing for us, because one thing I think everybody in baseball understands is that Oakland, one of the things that's one of the great qualities is that it's always a good clubhouse. It's a great mixture, great chemistry, and it's one of the reasons why everybody who comes here loves playing here. It's because it's a rip-roaring time, and everybody, rarely do we have those issues. So if you're a bad dude and you show up here, you will be exposed really fast. So that's why I'm glad to hear good guys coming in. And Medina, from what I'm getting, scouting reports, you're going to know the organization even if you haven't seen him. We're hearing a high-velocity guy, but a guy that has trouble throwing strikes. Is that what you've heard?
There are a couple of guys I've seen in the system that kind of fit that mold. So it's a lot of what I've heard about him. It's very similar to some other pitchers that we've seen over the years. The Yankees have done a nice job kind of harnessing that strength and working to minimize the weaknesses. So there are a few players that mold sounds exactly what we've seen from a Luis Gil or a Davy Garcia as they were coming up through the organization. Those guys have been hurt this year. They might have been in a similar conversation had they been healthy this season. And I've heard a lot of similarities between Medina and those guys. So I think if you've got somebody out there that can kind of harness that and reel him back in, I think that's just another arm that you're going to win with.
Now, you've been doing minor leagues for a long time, and I think about in your career how you've watched the evolution of starting pitching. You've watched how they're babying these guys at every single level, less and less innings pitched. So when we look at Medina, is Medina just a guy that you have seen a lot of, whether it's starters, relievers, high velocity, working on his secondary stuff, and has trouble throwing strikes? That's kind of par for the course, isn't it, for what you've seen a lot of?
It is. And a little context, I've been in baseball about 15 years now, and I remember watching Luis Mendoza throw a no-hitter in 08-09, where he threw 126 pitches. And I can't fathom that for a AAA starter now.
Yeah.
Guys, we had a pitcher, Matt Crook, who's still on our team, throw 7 2/3 perfect. And his hard limit in a near perfect game attempt was 100 pitches. So it's being reeled back so much. Is Medina a long-term starter? Maybe that's a guy, if you can't quite bring that control in, you bring back the pitch mix, you bring him down to a 1-2 pitch guy, you put him out there for an inning and you let him try to blow people away. And that's also a very valuable commodity these days as well. So I think if it's not a win immediately with Medina, if it's a longer-term project, because he was down in AA last year and he was in AA this year, maybe that's a guy that factors late 23, 24 for the A's. I think it's still a win because of the potential. There's so much that people buy out of potential for 95 plus in an arm right now that if you can find ways to make that work for you, then it's an absolute win for Oakland.
You know, one thing that obviously our fans, and whether it's talking about our minor league system or Yankee fans, their minor league system, is during the season you have fan bases down the minor leagues, AAA, AA, whichever level. You fall in love with players. And I don't know what kind of year you guys are having, but like in a minor league year, you could be having a great year. You could be having a record year. It could be such a great team. And then all of a sudden there's injuries. It's the trade deadline. There's movement. You know, for years we had the waiver wire process and there's movement going up and down. And all of a sudden this team that you've been paying your hard-earned money to watch now obviously is changed, and you get in the playoffs. It's not the same team. So a lot of people don't think about that, but it can be tough on minor league baseball fans.
It really can. And I'll give you a synopsis of our season. We were 4-1 to start the year and then found ourselves 17 games under 500, 15 and a half games back. We got swept in a doubleheader on June 8th. From that point in time, this club's been lights out. 18-6 in July. It was the best record of any minor league baseball team that plays full season ball. So the 120 clubs. Nobody had a better record of the full season teams than the Scranton Wilkes-Barre RailRiders. So we've gone from the depths, 10th place, to now tied for 5th, 3 games out in a matter of 45 days. And my capital in this team is I talk about it for 3 hours a night. I am invested in this. I don't like losing. I don't like watching bad baseball. I have to talk about it for 3 hours. Like, I want to win. So seeing guys, and I'm happy for Waldachuk and Sears and Hayden Wisniewski, who got traded, the first deal the Yankees made yesterday, got traded over to the Chicago Cubs. Like, I'm happy for these guys because clearly they're going to get a shot sooner there than they would with the Yankees, it seems. And Sears had his chances and could have been back up there tomorrow, quite honestly. But I'm invested in it. Like, I want to win on a nightly basis. I hate the trade deadline. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to see 2018, the Yankees traded away 7 of our 25-man roster at the deadline. A quarter of the roster shipped out for that playoff run. Like, I was jittery yesterday. Like, let's just go. Let's get it over with, because you don't know what you're going to walk into on Tuesday. You don't know what you're going to walk into after this trade deadline. I think we still have a good team. I don't know if it's what we were, because we were pitching heavy. That's what got us back to where we were. So it's tough. It's melancholy. You want to see these guys do well. You want to see them get to the big leagues. You want it to be with you, with the New York Yankees. But on the same side of that, I want to win on a nightly basis. I know the Yankees want to win. The A's want to win. Everybody wants to win, and we had it. So I don't know what tomorrow brings.
Yeah, it's not easy. And also, you know, with the way the Yankees have been rolling for so long, you know, I try, you know, you and I are old enough we remember when the Yankees weren't good. And, you know, Don Mattingly only made the playoffs one time in his career.
Sure.
I mean, there were a lot of issues with the Yankees for many years. That's when we were young. Now, this generation of fans, the Yankees are in the playoffs every year. I mean, it's just been an incredible run. But what also makes that tough is that, you know, like Oakland is the land of opportunity. You get in this organization, doesn't matter where you're drafted, doesn't matter your signing bonus. I mean, you play, you shoot through the organization, you have a chance to make the big leagues, and we can end on this. That's not the same in certain organizations, and very tough right now if you're a minor leaguer for the Yankees, wouldn't you say, to try and crack that 26-man roster.
The pressure is always on in New York, and I saw we hosted Brian Cashman on a Zoom prior to the season, and he talked about that. That was one of the questions somebody asked, like, you're never off the hook. It's always got to be on, and it's a fan base that is passionate about it. And every organization, every team has its passionate fans. We get a guy here in AAA who has a 3-hit night, and the response is always call him up. Everybody is call him up. I tweet that out constantly now. Like, list off 5 guys, call them all up. Like, nobody is ever happy. It's always the next thing. And a 70-win team, a guy with, no matter what they do, it's never enough until they win number 28. And then it will not be enough until they win number 29. It is such a very different mindset. I grew up in the Pittsburgh area. I grew up an LA Dodgers fan until I started to like the Pirates and their 20 years of misery. So, like, it's different than anything else in the world. No matter what, never enough. And I give them credit because they get there and they have the chance and they have the opportunity. Now they just need to get over that hump for the 28th time.
It's New York, and it's the New York Yankees. And when you talk about call them up, remember, everybody loves the backup quarterback. Everybody loves the backup quarterback.
Always.
Hey, thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate the insight, and good luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you, and best of luck to you guys. And enjoy our former RailRiders out there on the West Coast.
Well, we will. Let's hope to God that these RailRiders show up and this kid from St. Mary's absolutely shoves.
Ken Waldachuk. The good track record from St. Mary's recently. Tony Gonsolin. Corbin Burns is pretty good.
I don't fear St. Mary's. I'm 1-0 against St. Mary's.
I mean, the last time St. Mary,
you want to go over when I beat St. Mary's at St. Mary's? You want to go over that?
What was that? 19?
It was a big game.
What year was it?
95.
Because remember the only other player we know besides Tom Candiotti that's a St. Mary's alum.
Why does this not?
Alex Jensen
the
wasn't.
Helmet's not fitting right with the headset.
I don't know. But the first thing I said when I saw
Does it look crooked?
Yeah, it's crooked. I'll text Melissa to join. Alex Jensen was at St. Mary's, but he wasn't.
Do you think
a draft guy?
Do you think of Gene Tennis when you see this?
I think more Darren Bush now because Darren Bush wears that in the dugout for the A's.
So are we going? This will be interesting is to see how Melissa sees this versus Keith Law.
Same publication, both from The Athletic.
Yes. We could have some athletic hate on athletic hate here.
Oh, yeah, we don't want that.
Oh, because when athletic writers go after each other, not good. Now it shouldn't be a problem.
Melissa's here already, so are you ready?
I am, but what did you think? Were you feeling good about him when you heard what he had to say?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could say I've heard of Waldachuk before because of looking at prospect lists and playing MLB The Show. But other than that, like, it's not like I sit there and watch Yankees AA.
We've seen
AAA
Sears.
Games. Yeah, we saw Sears June 28th against the A's. Frankie Montas, I believe, pitched that game against the Yankees. Sears actually pitched pretty well in that game, got a win. But let's see what Melissa has to say about the new prospects for the A's.
Nobody better than Melissa Lockard. She's with us here from The Athletic. How are you? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We are doing well. And, of course, we want your opinion. There's a lot of opinions out there. When you heard about the trade, did you say, yes, it's a great deal for the A's? Or did you say, well, it's one of those, like a lot of deals, we're going to have to wait and see?
I think you do this long enough and you almost always have to wait and see, right? I mean, I know that's not the like good answer for talk radio.
We need to know now. We need to know right now. Did they win the trade?
When you're a seller, it's all about what happens later, right? So I think there's probably no one that when the A's traded Jeff Samardzija to the White Sox was like, man, that's a trade that's going to make them, have Marcus Semien, MVP candidate, and Chris Bassett, one of the best pitchers in the league. I mean, a lot of people sort of were like, who knows? So I think you got to give it a little bit of time. I do think, the guys they got back really addressed a need in the system. Obviously, pitching beyond the major league level has been a real issue for the A's in their minor league system the last 2 seasons. So, these are guys that are not that far away. So I think you have a good sense of who they could be, which I think is good. Sometimes the sexier names are the ones that are in A-ball because they're the ones that kind of have this hype about them. And you see that a lot with like the Mariners package that they got, Luis Castillo that they sent to the Reds. But I think ultimately there's so much variance about what can happen to a player from A ball to the big leagues that when you get a guy who's already established himself with AAA or has made a few starts in the big leagues like JP Sears, you have a much better idea of what you're going to get there. So from a risk perspective, I think this deal is a lot less risky than some of the other ones.
Yeah, it's like on draft day in the NFL, they're giving grades out. You got no idea what your third, fourth, fifth. These 2 fifth-rounders we got, nobody has any idea. It's going to take some time. I will say this, from your own publication, Keith Law, who also writes for The Athletic, I've read his article. It says, Law's trade report, Yankees add Frankie Montas. I don't like the trade for the A's. So he did not love this trade when he looked at it. So it is a wait and see, but tell me why this can be a win for the A's.
Well, I think as long as they are playing at the Coliseum, A's teams have to pitch well. That's basically the winning formula for every team that's been in this, stadium since they moved to Oakland, has been based on having a strong pitching staff. And, right now they are transitioning from what was a very strong starting rotation, maybe arguably one of the top 5 in all of baseball last year, to a really big unknown. And you have Cole Irvin and you have James Caprillion and you have Paul Blackburn, as pieces that you can look to for the next couple of years. But beyond those 3 guys, you've got so many injury issues with Dalton Jeffries, and then, guys that were sort of not progressing as you would hope at AAA, that there just was a huge unknown there. So starting back in spring training and adding the players that they added in those trades in the spring, and then adding the players that they added today, there's just so many more candidates to fill those spots now. And then those who don't make it in the rotation can fill bullpen spots. That the chances of having a strong pitching staff are so much better now than there were, 6 months ago. And ultimately, if the A's can pitch, they can win, no matter how much or how little they hit at the Coliseum. And as long as they're going to be at the Coliseum, that's how they should build these teams.
Yeah, you prevent runs, whether it's with your pitching or your defense. It's going to give you an opportunity. And the late great Ray Fosse just pounded us. It's pitching and defense with the A's. That's it's when home runs are flying out. Fosse was always pitching and defense, so we live by that. Waldichuk from San Diego pitched to St. Mary's, left-hander with a big arm. Do you see him front of the rotation, middle, back of the rotation? How do you see him?
Yeah, I think he's got a real shot to be a number 1 or number 2 guy in the rotation. He's got 4 pitches that he can turn to that are all, major league average or better, which is really solid place to start from. He's got the velocity to miss bats, but he also can change speeds really well. He seems like he has some pitchability already. That St. Mary's pitching factory kind of gives these guys a really good base to work from, and then they seem to come to the pros and just take off. So, he's a guy, it's actually funny. My next door neighbor randomly is good friends with his mom from childhood and has been asking me about him throughout his pro career. So I've been following him very closely since he turned
inside info.
Yeah. And so I was very excited to tell her that I'll have a lot more information on him, coming soon. So, but I mean, he's dominated every level that he's pitched at so far as a pro, pitched in the futures game, and just seems like a guy that can sort of slot in there in that number 1 or number 2 spot for them.
And the great thing is, and we're just talking the AAA voice for the Yankees, like these guys they're ready to start pitching in the big leagues, right? So, whenever you get this super young talent and you just wonder and you have no clue, you're talking about guys that are going to be pitching in the big leagues probably maybe later this year. We just saw Sears when the A's played the Yankees. So it's been explained to us that he could be a starter, could pitch out of the bullpen, versatile guy. Obviously, he's already pitched in the big leagues. So do you expect to see both these guys with the A's at some point this season?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have that rotation spot for Montas filled yet, right? They don't have to fill it because they've got the off days. So it's entirely possible that Sears gets one start in Las Vegas and gets a chance to fill that rotation spot right away. We'll have to see kind of how they decide to fill that there. Obviously, there's a few other candidates with Logue and Adrian Martinez and, that they can go to. But I would expect you'll see both of them. I think Waldichuk hasn't had quite as much AAA experience yet, so they might give him a few more starts. But, I think you're going to see a lot of mixing and matching as they go down to the end of the season now. I think they're at that point where they didn't trade away a whole lot of the veteran guys. So you're not going to see a wholesale, kind of group come up. But I think you are going to start to see guys, maybe Pache getting a chance to come back and see if, the improvements he made can stick. Some of the pitchers getting opportunities as well, because I think, ultimately these next couple of months are their opportunity to sort of see what is our building point for the start of next year. And, guys like Chad Pinder and stuff may not be there, but some of these other guys are going to be, so they have to kind of see a little bit what they're going to get from them.
So earlier today, before we brought you on, Adam Marco does the play-by-play for the AAA ball club for the Yankees. So these guys were in his rotation. So he's been calling their games. He hasn't seen Luis Medina yet, who he said, though, reports are he was about to at some point come up to AAA for the Yankees. Throws really hard, has had control problems in the past. What have you found out about him?
Yeah, I think you summarized it pretty well. He's a guy that hit reportedly 103 on the radar gun, so this is a guy that can really, really throw a hard fastball. He's got a hard breaking ball as well. The A's David Force talked about keeping them in the rotation. He's running low on options, though. It wasn't clear to me whether this is his final option year or next, but either way, they're going to have to figure out a big league role for him pretty soon. So it may make more sense for him to eventually become a reliever, because there is a little more development that needs to happen, just because he's only at AA at this point. And there is those command issues. And sometimes those command issues lessen when you have a guy that can just focus on 2 pitches as opposed to trying to get 3 or 4 working for him. But absolutely electric arm. And there is a lack of electric arms, in the system, or at least there was. I think they've added quite a few over the last 6 months. But, velocity has never been a strength of the A's system. And so he immediately becomes one of those really notable guys because of his ability to throw hard. And I think a fallback as a late inning reliever, is a pretty solid floor for somebody that you're looking at. And, like Domingo Acevedo was another top Yankees prospect who he did throw harder than he throws now. Earlier in his Yankees career, he had a little bit of injury issues, but, he's a guy the A's were able to figure out a good bullpen role for, who, at a time the Yankees were really high on him as a potential starter. So, I think that would be a floor for Medina. And if things click together quickly, if he can develop a third pitch, like a change up in the A's system and refine his command a little bit, he's got a chance to be a starter as well.
Cooper Bowman, I'm here. You hear what David Force had to say. You read some reports, and then you see he's hitting 217. What do we know about him, and will he actually be able to play up the middle? Some people kind of vary on his skills. I know he's kind of a second base shortstop guy. What are you hearing there?
Yeah. I think, he's kind of a scrapper. It reminds me a lot actually of what Joey Wendell's sort of profile was when the A's acquired him, a little younger in his career. The average is a little misleading, I think, because the league he was in, that Sally League, is filled with a lot of pitcher parks. And the fact that he was still getting on base, he was stealing bases, he was playing a number of different positions, I think gives you a sense of what his strengths really are. I think what you were seeing compared to last year that was lacking was a little bit of the power, which I think is a reflection somewhat of that league and the sort of what it suppresses of hitters. So, I don't expect him to be a middle of the order guy, but I think he's one of these guys that can be, a second baseman, third baseman, play some shortstop if you need him. I think they'll probably try him out in center field a little bit too. Can steal a lot of bases, get on base, and be just sort of a useful player. And he's got a great baseball name already. So it reminds me of those Bowman baseball cards when we were a kid.
Yeah. So where are we now with the A's system? How strong is it?
Yeah, I think it's coming together. It's not where it was a few years ago when, you were looking at that whole wave that was coming up, with Matt Chapman and Matt Olson and everybody, but it's getting closer to that bulk of interesting players again. I think the last 2 drafts have been really strong. I'm very excited to see the guys that they drafted start playing in the next couple of days. I think they're looking at like August 8th for a lot of those guys to get sent out. There's some really dynamic position players that they've added to the system. Tyler Soderstrom's making his AA debut right now, as a 20-year-old, which I think is really exciting to see. I think he's going to be a major power force for them in the near future. Zach Geloff's a really dynamic player. Even Logan Davidson, who I think a lot of people have given up on, is having a really nice rebound year at AA. So there's some useful players there. And then the pitching now kind of coming together a little bit more. So there's just a lot more interesting players to look for, which I think you really didn't see as much last year. So it's still a work in progress. I imagine we'll see more trades in the offseason that will probably enhance it even further. But I think it's off to a good start anyway.
So when you say trades in the offseason, we're talking about big leaguers. Who do you think that would be?
I mean, I think logically you would look at Sean Murphy and who they've acquired behind Sean Murphy in the last 6 months, and getting Shea Langoliers and drafting Daniel Susek. I don't think they have to move him, and obviously I do think he's a very special player. You've seen the bat really come alive lately, and the defense is outstanding. But there was probably quite a few discussions that came to not full fruition during this, that'll probably get revisited in the offseason. I know Cleveland has been very, very interested in him, and they've got a very deep farm system. So, I don't know that it's a slam dunk that he'd be moved, but certainly he'll be popular. I think Ramon, Laureano will be popular as well, and they'll have to kind of see, what they want to do there. So those are guys you might look at as potentially being moved, but I don't know that they'll be in a position where they have to move anyone like they were this year.
I think about Sean Murphy, and if you follow this team, you got to think, are the A's going to win next year? If you had to say yes or no, what would you say?
Probably not.
Okay. How about the year after that?
I never put it past them because they've come together so quickly in the past. And I do think the fact that you've got guys like Geloff and Soderstrom in AA doesn't take that completely out of the equation. And the pitching is starting to look better in the upper levels. I wouldn't put a pin on that year and say that's the year that the window for sure opens, but I think there's a chance.
Okay, so that takes 2 years. Let's just say 2 years. Murphy, you haven't won in 2 years. You have had him for another 2 years. He's now getting expensive, and he's getting into his 30s, and we know in the past he's had bad knees. So that's where, if they would have moved him, I know the fan base would have been upset, but I would have understand, like, okay, Murph's coming into his own, and he's going to hit better now, which I'm hoping. He's been hot lately. Let's see how it worked out. But it's like having a really good catcher who can hit, and you're in last place doesn't do you any good when he's 28 and 29, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think they didn't trade him because they were concerned about fan backlash. I think that would have, precluded a lot of trades if that had been something that they consider. But I think honestly, the catching market clearly didn't come to the same level that people kind of thought it was going to. You look at Wilson Contreras is still on the Cubs, which is kind of amazing. A guy's going to be a free agent.
Well, wait, hold on, Melissa. He took Cubs off his Instagram. There's no way he can still be a Cub.
He's still there. He hugged everyone. There was tears. They had goodbye ceremonies. Yeah.
You take your team off Instagram. It's a big story. You're for sure gone.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to have to come back with a beard or something. Cause it's like, it is really interesting. So I think there were only a few clubs that were really maybe in the market for catchers. And those clubs, for whatever reason, decided not to pull the trigger at this deadline. But I do think that these clubs will reconsider things in an off season. And I do think Murphy will be one of the more attractive players on the market. And, I think we will see Shea at some point, during the second half, and it'll give the A's a good chance to see, is this guy ready to be the primary catcher at a big league level next year? I think they feel like he probably is, but they'll give him a good chance to get his feet wet, the second half of this season.
Yeah, I just looked up Langoliers. It was my next question. Hitting 277 and 883 OPS. The numbers are always skewed down in Vegas, but 19 bombs, 318 ABs. MVP of the futures game. How much more does he got to do down there? I mean, when are we going to – I know we have 8,000 catchers in this system and you only can play one a night. How much longer? Does he need to be in Vegas anymore?
No, I don't think so. I think, the issue is more just who they have, in Oakland. I think they're giving both Murphy and Vogt those starts, so they don't have a spot for him at the moment. I think he has shown enough to go up there. He's a very similar player to Murphy. Hits the ball really hard, is not going to hit the ball for average, but is going to hit for power, and the defense is going to really make him that valuable player. And I think it'll be helpful for him to have time with both Murphy and Vogt, because I think it'll give him an opportunity to soak up, two of one of the more intellectual catchers out there. So it's probably not something they want to do so early because he won't get a ton of at-bats. And I don't think they want to rob him of those regular at-bats that he's getting right now, just in terms of reps. But I would expect by, maybe end of this month, he'd be up there, certainly by that extra 2 players in September, but maybe even before that.
I mean, seriously, I got to do this minor league report every day. I want to go, why is he still there? I want to see him, and I want to see him now. All right, so let me give you just give me a couple players that, for you, your wish list. If you say, okay, these are the 1, 2, 3 guys that I want to see at some point in Oakland. This is their name. Take Langoliers out. Who else would you like to see and why?
Well, I'd like to see Garrett Acton, the reliever, who's really pitched well in Las Vegas. I think it'd be very interesting to see how he slots in this sort of revamped bullpen. And, I know that Danny Jimenez came back and took Lou Trevino's spot in the bullpen, but I think there's obviously a spot for another kind of late inning type arm at some point. So I'd really like to see him, very interested in seeing both Sears and Waldichuk at some point this year. And I'd like to see how Christian Pache's changes, play out back at the big league level. He's getting the ball in the air a little bit more, which was really his main objective in going down to Las Vegas. And I think, obviously the defensive talent and is already major league quality or better. So if he can just hit a little bit, I think he'd bring a lot to the team, because the center field defense is just not quite the same without him out there. So it would be really good to see what kind of rebound he can have when he comes back up.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I hate to say it, I actually forgot about him. I haven't thought about him in a while, and because I know he dipped, and it just kind of depresses me, because at one point it's like, oh, he's hitting 320, and then I look now, he's hitting 256. I mean, that's going to be the question about Pache. He's athletic. He's a super kid. I mean, a really nice kid. Everybody loved him up here. As you said, defensively, he can go get it. I mean, I think when he came over, people didn't realize how big he is. He's like a NFL free safety type size. He's a pretty decent sized kid who can run. It's just the question, is he going to be able to hit? Can he compete on a daily basis in that box against big league pitching?
Yeah, and I think that remains to be seen a little bit, but there were certainly mechanical issues that were not allowing him to get the ball up in the air. And so, if those are being addressed, I don't think he was ever going to be a high average guy anyway, but if he's able to get the ball up in the air and hit for power more, you can tolerate 230 if he's hitting 20 home runs and he's stealing 20 bases. So, I think that's what you're looking for. And I think that's certainly well within his, outcomes with the talent that he's got. Because he was hitting the ball really hard. He was just hitting it on the ground, and there's just not a lot you can get out of that at the big league level.
So now for you, because you've been scouring all these guys. I know you have to do stuff with the Giants too sometimes. I mean, is this now, thank God it's over, grab a glass of wine and just relax a little bit now that we don't have to worry about the waiver wire process anymore, that this is it, we had our deadline?
Yeah, I mean, with the draft coming right before this, it's been, a brutal, I'd say 6 weeks for all of us that kind of do this stuff for a living. So I think we got to get through tonight and the content that comes out of that, but it will be a little bit more relaxing after that. And I'm really looking forward, when it comes to the A's system, so many guys were hurt and they're all kind of coming back right now. And so I think it's going to be a lot more fun these next couple of months to follow the teams, because I think you're going to really start to see their best guys, actually have reps and make progress where so many of them were on the injured list for so much of the year. So, I'm looking forward to it, but I could use a few days off, I think.
Well, I just said this the other day with Eno Saris on the air. I say it when we have you on. Journalism is not dead. The Athletic, the work that you do is fantastic. And I don't care whether you're talking baseball, football's fantastic. If you're a Niner fan, Raider fan, you're a Warrior fan, you're a Sharks fan, you guys do an unbelievable job covering sports. It's worth the money. I suggest everybody subscribe. It's not that expensive. It is worth it. Quality journalism. You guys do a fantastic job, and thank you for coming on. We always appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. And that $10 I gave you to bribe you for that endorsement goes
Hey,
well spent.
Remember when, because radio is the same thing. The consultants would come in and they say, less is more. And what we found out with podcasts, or what we found out with The Athletic, that's not the case. If you are a good writer and you give me an article, it doesn't need to be less than 1 page. It doesn't have to be half a page like you get on ESPN.com. It can be 8 pages, but if it's quality journalism, we'll read it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're churning out. And as you said, I mean, any sport, even soccer, if you're getting into the World Cup and everything, highly recommend you guys coming on and joining us. But I appreciate the endorsement.
Well, exhale and enjoy. We'll be calling soon.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Melissa Lockard does a great job for The Athletic, covering the A's, minor league baseball, even for you Giants fans. She does Giants. Let's see. There's a few things that I wanted to hit before I hit the Nats.
You got about 10 minutes, if that.
Just a list of guys wrote down quickly for we didn't make a deal, but we're getting guys back healthy. It's like a deal at the deadline. Don't you like that tired act?
Yeah.
Because what happens with hurt guys? You don't know. You don't know if they stay hurt. You don't know if they come back 100%. But your favorite Frenchman, who's not a Frenchman, Luis Robert.
Yeah, I call him Robert.
For the White Sox. He could be back mid-August, they said on MLB Network. I'm like, he's got dizziness.
Blurred vision.
He's having problems seeing. How do you know he's going to be back mid? The stuff people say in baseball, it's great. They do it in all sports. But the stuff in baseball, it's crazy. He can't see right. How do you know he's going to be back mid-August? There's no way. Giancarlo Stanton's got the Achilles tendon issue. Lance McCullers hasn't pitched this year. Could be coming back for the Astros. Nate Pearson from the Blue Jays, hard thrower, great stuff, but he's been out. Jack Flaherty, Cardinals been out. Wander Franco. Not Franco, it's Franco. He's been out now since what, June?
Yeah, after signing that big, huge deal in the offseason. They haven't really got – and the Rays are still floating above water without him. That just shows you how good they are.
I'm not going to give you his nickname because it's not right, but he is from San Jose, the great Mitch Haniger and the Mariners. You forget that he's been hurt. Walker Buehler, one of the best pitchers in the game, has been out since June. Bryce Harper and the broken hand. Mike Trout in the back.
Forgot one. Might be the biggest deadline acquisition in the history of baseball. No, I'm not talking about you, Juan Soto. Everyone kept telling me that this guy coming back is a big deal. Jacob deGrom back for the Mets. 4 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run against the Nats.
He's done. Take him out.
6 strikeouts. Nats winning 1-0. Yes, the Nats with nobody on their team winning.
Hey, Mets don't need deGrom. Mets have won a season-high 7 straight games, outscoring their opponents 43-20, and they haven't won 8 in a row since 2019, and their starters right now 8-4 with a 1.95 ERA in the last 20 games. They don't need you, deGrom. You want to opt out? You want to get out of town? See ya. They don't need you. They can take their money and spend it somewhere else.
He's going to be a Brave if he opts out. I think he's going to be a Brave.
You know what happens when he leaves New York and he goes 6 innings and gives up 1 run? He won't be as celebrated as he was in New York.
Media market.
Telling you right now, he leaves New York and he's the greatest pitcher ever. He goes 6 innings, gives up 1 run. He won't get celebrated like that in a smaller market. Am I wrong on that?
Not at all. I think if it's not LA or New York, he's not going to get.
Even LA. I mean,
He's not going to go to LA anyway. Well, I'm not going to rule that out.
He has not been. He's a phenomenal talent, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, but he's not a workhorse. And everybody's looked over that aspect of it, and they give you all the numbers where he's just phenomenal, and his metrics are phenomenal. But you take him out of New York where there's that big voice to champion him, and he's giving you 6 innings, 5 2/3 for a lot of money. I don't know. We'll see. Something I wanted to bring up that I thought was really, really interesting from a standpoint beyond just our game and the deadline. And I took a picture of this today because I thought we all would be real interested in it. Why is my photos not? Can't get out of my photos. Jesus.
You got about 5 minutes to get through this.
I took a picture today of the Washington Nationals Game 7, the team that won the World Series. Trey Turner, Adam Eaton, Anthony Rendon, Juan Soto, Kendrick, Cabrera, Zimmerman, Gomes, or we'll put a Yan Gomes, and Robles. And your starter was Max Scherzer. That was your Game 7 starting lineup for the 2019 World Series Washington Nationals. I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about, not to get too deep, how much our world has changed since that time. You weren't even, back then you weren't thinking, back then you're thinking, oh, the Nationals, they beat the Astros, great job. Every road game was won. It was kind of historic. You'd have Thanksgiving on the horizon. Christmas would start to come around. We would go down to San Diego for the winter meetings in 2019, which was really an eye-opener for us, where everybody in baseball was coming and asking about A's Cast and wanted to meet with us and talk to us and how's it going and, you know, the numbers and everything. We were kind of riding a high coming out of that. In February of 2020, I would take my family with my 2 best friends and their families, and we'd go to DC, Philly, New York, kind of a historic trip. And little did we know at that time when we were on the East Coast, COVID is raging through the East Coast and heading out west. COVID would change the world. It would change our sport, and it would change the world. Over 1 million Americans have died from COVID-19. And people have died all over the world. Juan Soto being traded today. It just made me think when they put this up, and I got up and I'm watching MLB Network, obviously, what I do, and I took a picture of the lineup that they put out there. And it just hit me. Just think about our sport and think about our world. Think about your life. Think about your personal life. Like for the Nationals today and their fan base losing Juan Soto. And it's one of the biggest trades in the history of baseball. But everything in our lives, our personal lives, our professional lives, look at all the things that have happened to you on an everyday basis, whether it was your job, getting vaccinated, not getting vaccinated. We never even thought we didn't even thought about a vaccination when the Nats were winning the World Series. Or that you'd have a second shot, a booster shot, talking about a 4th shot. You never think you'd see record high gas prices or inflation. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff that has happened in our little world, but in the entire world, we didn't think about during the time of this World Series that we would be linked to other countries around the world, that we would all be sharing the same problems. There's still a lot of you who may watch this. You haven't gone back to a place to work. You haven't gone back to an office. I mean, it's crazy. It's 2022. We're now in August of 2022. I've been working a little bit in San Francisco. I walk into the Whole Foods right by NBC in San Francisco, not far from the ballpark. Everybody is still in masks. I was like walking in, when I first walked in, I was like, is the ordinance back on? Like, do I need to put a mask on? Like, I didn't. It's August of 2022. Juan Soto's been traded, and think what the world was like when the Nats last won the World Series. We had the lockout in baseball. We've had our worlds have completely changed since the last time Juan Soto and the Nats won the World Series.
100%. Only one guy in that lineup is still on the team, and it's Victor Robles. The guy
I asked Cody before the show, what does it mean to you? And he went, well, and I said, watch, I'm going to blow your mind on this one.
Yeah, I didn't think you were going there.
I don't think anybody thinks about that since what has happened in your life. What's happened to your family? What's happened to your job? What's happened to the world since the last time the Nats won the World Series and Juan Soto was a Nat?
Yeah, a lot of stuff's happened. I mean, I got married again.
A lot of things have happened.
Yeah, I made it about me.
Both my kids have had COVID. I've had COVID.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, we're just as an organization going back to the offices. You know, it's unbelievable. It was really, when I saw that, it hit me this morning like, wow, who would have thought watching that World Series that everyone's lives on this planet would absolutely change? Not too far from that point. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Coming up next, it's A's Baseball. We'll have A's Total Access for you. Thank you for everybody who watched today's program. It was a lot of fun. Trading deadline now going to be different without the waiver wire process. You either make moves or you're shut out of it. Thank you to Adam Marco, the AAA voice of the New York Yankees, and Melissa Lockard from The Athletic. We'll see everybody tomorrow right here at 4 o'clock for A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans.